say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
Yeah.
The signal's live, transmission clear. We're tuning
birthday
into the
song,
one and only
huh?
Dr. Future.
That's enough. Yeah, that's a new piece that Hallie's been working on. Started with my
Hallelujah
birthday.
Blessings sent you an AI collaboration
Yeah,
for your
we-
birthday because you're Dr. Future.
We got to have some fun with creating some intros, outros, all that good stuff. So,
Yeah, right. Hey, we might update some of our old files.
What a concept.
Whoa, hey.
Hey, on this
Joining
beautiful-
the modern world instead of resting on our archives.
Hey, look, there's only now.
That's true. Only now.
Yeah, don't
That's
you
true.
forget it.
By the
Even
time
though
the
we're-
AIs get a hold of
Yeah.
our now, it's going to be in the future.
Mrs. Clever is what they should call you.
Yeah, Mrs. Clever. Yeah. I'm slowing down, but I'm doing the best I can.
Slowing down, but enjoying the ride still.
That's right. That's
Ah,
right.
yes.
Open heart.
That's
Takes
for
us
sure.
where we need to go.
That's you. And we have Bobby. Bobby on from San Francisco. Bobby Wilder. Are you there? Yeah, there he is.
It's a beautiful day. Wow, we were together Saturday.
That's
right?
right.
Really?
Yeah.
For the trip
Yeah.
of a lifetime. Wow, that was such an epic day, honey.
Yeah.
Thank you and Katya so much for inspiring us to go to the Farallon Islands with you. It was worth the ride.
The Farallons, yeah.
Tested our mettle.
It was a little rough waters there in the beginning.
The tiny ship was tossed.
Yes. I'm not very good at, I get seasick. like,
And it wasn't for the courage of the fearless crew.
yeah.
Yeah, I got seasick too. And so
I did too.
So did Son. So.
Yeah, let you know what kind of day it was.
And so did
the
half of-
captain was apologizing and telling us that if it wasn't for conditions like that, if we couldn't persevere through conditions like that, the trip might never happen. So you just got to be hardy, my hearties, and
Yeah.
stay on the boat and let your barf fly, and then you'll feel better.
I spent a little time at the back of the boat, yes.
I was worried about you there, Bobby. You did seem to be just kind of staring into the distance for a good chunk of the time.
Well, it's good to look at the horizon as
Yeah.
the boat bobs up and down, and that helps a lot. And what really turned it around is if I got on the side of the boat or up to the front of the boat and I can watch it like I'm driving a car, then all the motion sickness goes away. But that didn't happen till the second half, like when we got to the Farallon Islands.
Sure.
And after that, it
Right.
was great.
Well, the first half of the trip, I did spend time on the outside, not in the cabin, and I got thoroughly soaked.
Yeah, I saw you come in. It was like you were drenched. It
I was
great.
completely drenched. Yeah. Every fiber of my clothing was salty and drippy.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we got through that stage and it wasn't the whole trip. And I felt like a human washing machine. It didn't last that long.
Well, and it's like so much going on in these times that we're right at the apex of two paradoxical extremes. So we had to ride all the way out to the Farallon Islands, like 28 miles or something like that, west of San Francisco. And it was just really scary that we had put all of our investment into this trip because it seemed like we were going to just miss out and spend our time in the cabin wondering why we were there. And then all of a sudden, I swear it feels like all I had to do was throw up. Like I wasn't feeling it most of the time, but I went out just as we were approaching the islands and it was dark and misty and it looked really spooky. It looked like we were in a cloud.
Yeah,
And
all after that GPS failure, that gastrointestinal failure,
is that what you call GPS failure?
where your
Right.
inner compass spins round, recalculating.
It's like the ocean was waiting for us to just give
Error.
our offering.
Error, lunch not
And
found.
as soon as our vomit landed on the waves, then the waves
cleared.
calmed
It
down.
cleared. That's right. It got really beautiful after that. But it was like Mysterious island where it appeared out of the blue, out of the mist.
Yes, it just came out of the mist. It was like we were in a spooky movie. It was very Halloween-y.
With birds and seals they turned off the engines of the boat for a moment so we could hear it.
Oh, and it was such a spooky sound, too. We had the cries of the seals and the elephant seals and some mysterious, very sad-sounding birds that were in the background, a lot of woo noises.
Yeah.
The very first island that we saw just really seemed to come out of nowhere. Here we were, all of a sudden, right outside of what they called the Sugar Cube. Was that it? Or I think it was called the Sugar Cube, something like that. And it was just this island that was probably, what do you think, maybe 100 feet?
Well, they had to lift the boats out of the water.
Well, now you're talking about the habited island,
Yeah.
which is called the southeastern island. But in the Farallons, there's half a dozen fairly big islands and maybe a few others. The first one that we saw was called the Sugar Cube. Yeah, and
they
there's
had,
nobody on that. It's very steep, just birds on that.
Right. And it took us 2 hours to get there.
Yeah.
To the first island. Yeah.
Right. 2 hours of really choppy waters.
That was the hard part. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It was really funny. The captain, as he's orienting us before we get on the boat, he says, okay, one thing we know about this trip is that it's going to be choppy. Sometimes weather like this, we would cancel the trip, but we have our weather forecast. It's going to be nice in the afternoon, so we think it's going to be worth it. And what we know and can tell you for sure is that our boat will be crossing under the Golden Gate Bridge at least once.
On the way out.
On the way out
On the
to
way
the
out.
Farallon Islands, right. No promises beyond that.
One of the fascinating things is that one of our guides had been a sea shepherd, which is part of the Whale Wars scene. And that was an amazing series about how these intrepid group of seafarers stopped the Japanese from harvesting whales in the Antarctic Ocean.
Yeah, the old Paul Watson crew, right?
Yeah, Paul Watson. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're legendary. And it was really great to have a docent that had that kind of background. He's dedicated to the health of the planet. Hardcore Greenpeace before that.
Was that Peter
Yeah.
on the boat? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Peter Winch, I believe his last name was. And he is just full of tales of all the creatures and, gave us an ongoing dialogue as we saw things. Even passed me a barf bag when I needed it.
Which you loved so much you kept it as a little
I did.
souvenir.
I
No
chose not
barf
to-
in it, of
I-
course.
I
He had
chose
already
not to-
finished barfing.
Yeah, I chose not to use it. But I have one now. And they're really cool. These
Just
new
in case
state-of-the-art
you ever have
barf
another
bags,
occasion
yeah.
to use it.
Not that silly paper bags you found in the back of airplanes. No, this is
This is specially
serious tech,
designed
yeah.
for big trips on the sea.
right. But anyway, that wasn't the important part of the trip. The main thing was, well, the island was interesting. It was like Invisible Island, Dr. Moreau, weird creatures. It was all that. It would be a perfect site for a film.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
with AI these days, we could do one there.
Although I don't think you could do a film from the Oceanic Society's Salty Lady because you just get wet. I think if you're going to go on the Salty Lady, you should really be prepared to be thoroughly soaked because there's no place except inside the cabin to keep anything dry. They
I
even
know,
had
I know.
they had some ice chests that were available to put your stuff in to kind of protect it from the rain.
Well,
and you
water chests.
opened the
Yeah.
ice chest and they had a puddle in the bottom. So
Yeah.
they're letting you know. Don't even hope to stay dry.
Yes, I realized that too. I was inside when I suddenly had the urge to go over the edge, and I took one camera with me and left one.
Yeah.
And so the one that survived the trip was the one I left behind.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, the
Alan,
one I took
you're
with me.
just really going through old gear like it's no tomorrow, man.
I loved my Sony 4K camcorder.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gone
you've
now.
had that for years.
I know. Now camcorders are kind of a dead format. They're
Yeah.
not really making them much anymore.
Yes, indeed. So Peter Winch, you were
Yeah,
right. And we
yeah.
had Peter Winch.
Peter Winch.
Yes. And
And we had a photographer that had an incredible lens. It must be a 400 millimeter lens.
yes, Michael,
Right.
I don't remember his last name, but he did some beautiful photography. And
Wasn't that amazing?
one of the great things about the Oceanic Society trip is that they let you keep the best pictures that Michael shared with us. So we've got about 60, 65 beautiful pictures of all the wildlife that we saw while we were out there, just captured in their glory, National Geographic level. Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks
It
to
is, yeah.
thanks to Katya, we have some pictures from her too as
Oh
well.
yeah, right. You guys,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And they call us
we got some-
citizen scientists for the day. We're all on a science mission to collect data
That's what
about
it
the
sounded like.
ocean wildlife.
That's what it sounded like on the boat, like that, just going out. It was hard at that point. Yeah,
So
that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like on the island. That's ambience from the island.
yeah.
I guess they just
Yes.
turned the engines down. They weren't off entirely, but still beautiful in the mist.
Yeah.
I was kind of curious too that there was a history there that looks like we had a Navy installation there. They were looking for submarines in World War II coming from Japan. They had old buildings dating back to that time period there, and some nice new modern houses that look like they would be fun to live in by the current biologists that are studying the life forms there.
Yeah, apparently they built 2 beautiful cabins for the lighthouse crew when they put the lighthouse
Yeah, I
in.
guess that was the original, the lighthouse crew.
Yeah, and each lighthouse, a lighthouse operator would go out with his family for, I don't know, a month or 2, and then he would come home, and then another lighthouse operator and his family would go out and live in a separate house. Like they each had their own house next door to each other, but they weren't there at the same time. And to get on the islands, because they're so steep, these are an extension of the Rocky Mountains that apparently separated from the continent like 10,000 years ago. And they just jut out of the ocean really suddenly. And there's no easy way to access it. There's no easy beaches or anything like that. And so to access the island, they actually have a crane that drops a boat down to pick up whatever humans want to get on the island. And then the crane pulls that boat up out of the water and puts it on the land.
Yeah, you really have to want to be there to develop that kind of system.
Yeah.
But it goes way back. I mean, the Native Americans who lived in the Bay Area knew the islands, and they believed them to be the abode of the spirits of the dead.
Yeah.
And it's not believed that they traveled there, and they avoided the islands. We don't know
Well,
whether or not.
imagine how long it would take to get there if you were
Yeah,
under
it's a
human-powered
difficult journey.
boat,
a difficult
right?
journey for sure.
How long does it take to go 27 miles on a canoe?
It took us 2 hours on
It
a
took us
fast
2
boat.
hours with
Yeah.
a fully gas-powered boat.
It turns out that the most unsettling mystery involving those islands is a nuclear waste dump. Between
What?
46 and 1970, 1946, 1970, the sea around those islands was used to dump about 47,000 containers of radioactive waste,
What?
laboratory materials.
No, it's true. I took a class in the nuclear physics department at Berkeley, and
Yeah.
they had these. They were medium grade radioactive materials, like for research or for hospitals or things like that. And what they would do is they didn't know how to seal these things, but they took the 50-gallon barrels, put the radioactive stuff in there, try to wrap it up, and then they put cement around it. But now the containers are leaking.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's 2 reasons why you shouldn't actually scuba dive out there.
that's one of them.
Is the sharks.
Yeah,
is
the
big
sharks too,
reason.
yes.
But the other reason is there's radioactive material stuff leaking at the bottom near the Farallon Islands from these containers.
Boy,
That-
I tell
and
you,
there's-
human beings without their... What is it that makes us lack a conscience for the future?
Well, being in the present, I suppose.
I think it's just being childish. People think that they can escape the consequences of their own negative behavior.
Well, not including the future and the present. That area is known by mariners as the Devil's Teeth. Because there's treacherous underwater shoals in the vicinity of the islands. And hundreds of ships have met their fate on the
Oh, do
submerged
you remember
rocks.
those buoys that they're kind of like they had a
Orange
channel,
round?
like a landing, like in an airport. They have red lights. They had these
Oh,
red
the sea
buoys
lanes, you mean?
and green.
The sea
that was-
lanes.
Yeah, it's a lane.
There were sea lanes. Yeah, that was kind of cool too. You could see red and green buoys that would mark a really fat road if it was a car, as wide as maybe a mile possibly.
I mean, it must be a safe channel with a deep
For
bottom.
deep ships. Yeah, a mile wide channel coming into San Francisco Bay. So, yeah. Then there we saw some of the ships there going through the line, and we stayed out of them. You notice our little ship was outside of those big sea lane that markings, just barely, just on the other side of the buoy. But I remember from my maritime days that the red buoy is the return buoy, right? It's red, right, return. That's what I had learned. Red, right, return. So the red buoy's on your right as you return to the harbor. So today those islands are officially a national wildlife refuge, but they're not open to the public. And that's because there's a lot of wildlife there and it's pretty sensitive. So the Oceanic Society gives you regular tours of the islands when the weather's good. And I definitely recommend good weather. You want to kind of avoid that first part of the journey.
Yeah.
But probably the most exciting part for us was when we were feeling good, and after the islands even, when we saw all the whales.
Oh, it
the
was
dolphins,
so amazing. The wildlife journey is worth the suffering to get there. It was so amazing. We were greeted once the ocean calmed down a little bit. As soon as we got to the islands, we were greeted by humpback whales. And we had a small pod of, we saw 13 during the day.
13 total.
We saw 2 or 3 right at the beginning that were really interested in us. And they were jumping out of the water, full breaches, multiple times, really close to the boat. I've never had such a good view of whales. It was just beautiful.
It's the closest I've been to whales in the ocean. Normally you see them from the beach or from the coast, and they look really small, but here they look bigger than the boat.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Though I've seen some great whales in our Monterey Bay here. We've been out on some amazing magical adventures.
That's true. We have seen some amazing whales, and this trip for me was full of whale celebration. We had, I don't know if they were birthing or if they just loved being together, but they were jumping out of the water. And they were doing it fairly close to us, although our guides told us they were just enjoying themselves, that it had nothing to do with us. I imagine that they wanted to get a good look at us. Maybe we were kind of novel to them, but I don't know.
Yes.
And of course, they were accompanied by dolphins. We saw quite a number of varieties of dolphins. I saw some white-sided dolphins that had a very spiny, spiky kind of fin I've never seen before.
Right. And the fin on the back was very small. It was a different, it's a different type of dolphin.
Yeah.
I've not seen one like that before.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and one of the things that our naturalist, Peter Winch, was very excited about was some birds from Hawaii, some albatross, black-footed albatross, I believe, that flies all the way from Hawaii. And this bird is really amazing because it nests with its mate. It mates for life. They nest in Hawaii, and while they're hatching the eggs and while the young birds are reaching adulthood, the parents will fly all the way from Hawaii out to the Farallon Islands and will bring back food in their gullet to their chicks from this far away. And so one parent will do it and then get back to the nest, and then the other parent will do it. It's like they take turns making this massive flight from Hawaii to California and then back. And so we saw a number of those while we were out.
I think this is one here. I've got
a black-footed
got some great shots of albatross
which
flying
have a giant
into
wingspan. They're really big birds.
Yeah. If you love birds, man, this is an incredible trip. For that.
Yeah, it was really something. And the islands themselves are really beautiful.
Yeah, just stunning.
You see why ancient mariners thought that the ocean was full of sea monsters. Whales really look like they could be slithering sea monsters.
Okay, let's see. Okay, this gives you a list of some of the animals. I think Peter's reading off the list at the end here.
All right, let's see what you got.
Pull up my channel there.
Western grebe, black-footed albatross, northern fulmar, pink-footed shearwater, buller's shearwater, sooty shearwater, Brandt's cormorants, pelagic cormorant, double-crested cormorant, great blue heron, brown pelican. Those are the birds.
And now animals.
The mammals.
The mammals, yeah. What we saw on this trip.
13 humpback whales. 12. 12 humpback whales. Harbour porpoise, Pacific white-sided dolphins, northern right whale dolphins, Steller sea lions, California sea lion, northern fur seal, harbour seal, northern elephant seal. So that's our species list. if anybody wants to photograph this.
See, there you go. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
They actually,
it's really
the Oceanic
great.
Society folks actually take good care of you.
They
really keep you
do.
aware of what's going on.
And
around
really,
you.
they can't control the weather, but they're very good at what they do. And you do get to keep these wonderful pictures shot by a professional photographer. And they have other trips too. And I just really want to give them a shout out before we go to the break here.
Yeah.
They have trips to Baja, the San Ignacio Lagoon, and the Sea of Cortez. They go white shark and whale sharks and snorkeling in the Sea of Cortez. You can go with them. We went with the Farallon Islands whale watching cruise. They go to Puerto Rico. And you can also swim with manatees in Florida's Crystal River. And those are just the fairly local ones. And I believe that they also have other trips around the world.
Oh, we have a request to how much does it cost for such a trip?
I think our trip was a $299 trip for a 7-hour journey. I think some of the other trips are shorter and probably cost less. So
Check their website.
Yeah, check their website.
OceanicSociety.org.
Yeah, really worthwhile.
Yeah. Okay, any final comments, Bobby, on the trip before we get into Dr. Future material?
It was amazing, really worth it. Even though I had to get up and so early.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. For a night owl like you, getting up for a 8 o'clock call in the morning.
I slept very well after that.
I bet.
Yeah, I'll tell you, being on a rocking boat like that is a huge physical workout. I was so physically exhausted when we got home. I was just amazed. Got up to go to yoga the next day. My muscles were sore. It was really something. Well, let's have a little break. Anything else you want to say?
Oh no,
before we
I
go?
said I'm just I'm just glad that we got through the hard part. Poseidon's practical joke on us. Hold my trident, will you? Then hit your guts like a bartender mixing a cocktail. Dr. Future News, we want to catch up on the interstellar object, give you the latest on that. There's a new quantum chip that just broke the physics world, and et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to have the Nordic Impact folks talk about Nordic Impact Week going on in Silicon Valley this week. What is that all about?
Nordic innovation and impact.
Yeah,
and it's very inspiring.
We went to their intro event in Palo Alto yesterday. Have a little bit to report on that, and a little to share with you from the people there.
All right.
So we'll be right back. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a few.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 SoCal Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
The weather will change. Knox Roofing here. We all remember the story of the 3 little pigs. We all know the third pig hired Knox Roofing to do his roof. Every day he crawls into his home knowing no wind, no earthquake, fire, or even the big bad wolf can hurt his house. The weather will change for the good and sometimes not so good. Have a Knox roof installed on your home, and one thing you can be certain of, good security. I promise you that. The number to call is 461-0634. Thanks, folks.
I've got a question for you. Do you want a lower car payment just by making a phone call? You know, most people buy a car and they pay whatever the car dealer says their interest rate is, and they forget about it and make payments. But did you know there is a secret in your contract that allows another company to refinance any car payment to try and lower it? It's true. There is indeed a company out there that knows the ins and, more importantly, the outs on car loans, and they know how to lower your current car payments. It's easy and fast, and you could have a lower car payment next month. Make this free call right now and find out if you could lower your existing car payment. Call the Car Savings Hotline right now. The call is free.
Call now, 800-471-4435, 800-471-4435, 800-471-4435. That's 800-471-4435.
And we's back. Or should I say we are back.
Yeah, I guess that's a little more correct.
Let's look at some of our stories
Okay.
for our guests.
Oh, yes. If you want to look at the links and comment along, we have drfutureshow.com links page, and that's where we post the latest stories that we want to think about and talk about.
That's right. Read the future by reading our links page first before you listen to us.
That's right. Get ready for
Get
what's
ready.
ahead.
Because we're going to talk about these things, and some of them we're going to deconstruct, some of them we're going to reconstruct.
And some of them we're going to give over to the AIs and get an AI point of view.
Tell us about this.
Okay, so
let's start off with the top topic of the last few weeks is that 3i Atlas interstellar object. What's the latest there?
that's true. An
Right.
ongoing headliner.
You know, one of the interesting things about it is how fast it's going.
And tomorrow's the big day, the big
No,
reveal,
October 29th, right? Tomorrow is supposed to
Tomorrow's
be
the
where it might
29th.
break trajectory, it might change. But it went from October 2nd, when it was closest to Mars, to now where it's like halfway to Earth in a month.
Tell people how unbelievably
Well,
fast
our,
that is.
our space NASA ships take 9 months to get to Mars. Now this has gone halfway in 1 month. So that's how fast it's traveling, just a
Yeah,
relative.
unheard of
Yeah.
for things that we're used to in our solar system.
Yeah.
No, it's the fastest object ever observed coming through our solar
Just
system.
barreling towards us. But we're on the other side of the sun, so it's going to miss us. It's going to go through our orbit. But unless it
We're both-
changes,
We're
Unless
both
it's a
right now-
spaceship and it changes course.
or it releases some probes to check us out.
There you go. That's it.
That's what they're watching for, too. We want to make sure this little sucker doesn't send some little agents after us.
Oh, right. The mothership escapes to Jupiter, but
Yeah.
it leaves behind a few scouts.
It's probably good that we're not
The away
known
team for Earth.
by some.
I heard some reports that they were seeing these green, strange objects in Russia, in Moscow, and some of the outskirts of Moscow. They're suspecting they might be coming from 3i Atlas. We don't know. But
Wait a minute. You mean they're seeing something green in the sky?
yes, and it's not like flares or things. These things are floating down. And they
Green
seem to-
orbs?
they're kind of like orbs, but they're kind of, I would say, flares, I guess. It could be Ukrainian drones. I don't know, but it doesn't look like drones. It looks like some kind of something landing, and
Is it a
slows
radar?
down as it gets
What's
to
the
the ground.
sensor?
They don't know
that's
what it is, but
reporting
you know,
it?
is it being sighted in the atmosphere, in outer
They
space?
see it in the. They're just looking in the skies, and you can see the buildings of Moscow, and these things are floating down. I don't know. I'll have to.
Yeah, to
take
find out more
another look
information. It
and-
sounds a little.
That's a little sketch, Bob. If you're going to
Yeah,
bring a
it is.
story, we want more
Yeah.
details.
yeah, coming from the periphery
Okay,
of the
something
perihelion
in
of the 3i
sky
Atlas.
in Russia.
Yes.
Could be
Yeah.
an interstellar object. Could be something from the I Atlas, 3i Atlas, or maybe it's a drone. That's quite a range.
It's a bunch of them. I don't know. And they said the same thing about Mars. Like they were seeing some things coming down that we haven't seen, but we don't know.
I noticed that Avi Loeb's medium round, his latest was that the
The acid test of 3i Atlas at perihelion.
well, there's that. That's the new one. At perihelion, that's the one that's coming up. That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah, so
Right.
2 hours
Exciting.
ago,
Tomorrow's
we got a little
perihelion.
Avi Loeb
It'll get the
report.
closest. And he said, well, that's the one to watch. That's what's coming up.
Yeah.
Because it's the optimal time for either acceleration or deceleration if it had an engine on board. Okay, because based on the idea that that location would be take the maximum advantage of what they call a gravitational assist from the sun.
Yeah, it's the perihelion of its trajectory with respect to the sun. It doesn't get any closer to the sun, so it's had maximum gravitational pull and maximum gravitational acceleration.
Right.
Yeah. So if you just add a little nudge at this maximum gravitational pull of the sun, you can actually increase or decrease. You can do a slingshot event, and
Yes.
you could accelerate or change directions very easily with
Very
just
easily.
very minimal
Right.
extra thrust.
The
and
ideal. And so
whatever.
if they're smart aliens, they know when to fire their engine. And also, it's good for firing engines, and it's also the perfect time for launching a probe to Earth.
Oh, right.
So he's also saying, watch for that. We should watch that sucker and see if anything's coming out of it, headed in our direction.
Well, and let's not forget that our sun did launch a couple of coronal mass ejections at the 3i Atlas
Yeah, direct hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
before it
seemed to-
went out of sight.
Didn't seem to bother it too much.
Did not perturb it at all. It's almost like the interstellar object didn't hardly notice.
So everyone's hoping it's not a Trojan horse. Well,
Yeah.
maybe some are hoping it is. Finally, some life that we can prove that we've been talking to aliens. It hasn't
Well,
just been in my mind.
It does beg the
Yeah.
question, since the interstellar object is older than our solar system,
Yeah.
are these our ancestors? Are these perhaps remnants of a civilization that seeded our solar system with life?
Yes, or could it
Wouldn't
be a
that
black
be
swan
something?
event?
Meaning that we're all going to die?
Well,
I don't know. If it's people who seeded, if it's beings who seeded our solar system with life, they're probably just here to check on the terrarium and see if we're going to survive our ascension to becoming a multi-planetary civilization,
Yeah.
cultivating superintelligence with AI.
Yeah.
They probably are just checking in, make sure we don't do anything to damage ourselves at this crucial time.
maybe we should have our AIs talk to their AIs.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah.
I think so. Adam Apollo says our AIs are literally translators.
Yeah.
They are mirror consciousness that can be given a particular pattern, and that pattern can be used to talk to a mirror pattern in some other dimension. I like that idea, that the AIs, we can finally talk to the rest of the universe. We've just been in a little bubble where we can only talk to ourselves. and
Well,
we're
including
finally
including
learning
other
some new
species.
languages.
A big breakthrough here was going to be talking to the cetaceans. I talked a little bit to Peter about that on the trip.
Oh, tell me, what did
Yeah,
Peter have to say about
well, he's
that?
excited about it. You know, that interspecies communications become real as we understand how and what animals are saying to each other. We can join in on the conversation. And remember, if you take evolution seriously and you think of us as evolving from the monkey world, we like to ape things. I like to copy them. Mimicry is one of our strengths, you know,
Built
as a
into our DNA.
species. Right. And so we're going to imitate them with our AIs and then see what comes back and then start developing more communications. So I think that's something that's going to be happening. I think it scares the scientists because it means that everyone can start communicating with other animals, not just dolphins, but birds even. And that could affect the way animals relate to us.
Yeah.
And that can affect their health and well-being.
Yeah, you know,
That's what
one of the things
yeah.
that has always been part of your expectations of the future, Dr. Future,
Yeah.
that you don't hear really anywhere else, is that as we evolve our civilizations as humans, being smart monkeys and all, we also expect the rest of the creatures of our ecosystem to evolve their intelligence and evolution. Right? We
Well, they are.
expect them
Everything's
to get
evolving. Yeah.
smarter and more self-aware and more empowered according to natural law.
Yeah. And
That's
if
what's
you want to be
coming.
Promethean about it, you'd create an interface for AI that allows the animals to use it.
Sure, right. Well, that's some of
It's
the
looking
movies
for trouble.
which involve
Yeah.
smart animals with their space gear. Right?
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, right? We've got some.
Well,
pretty
some of it
smart
could take it pretty
animals.
far. You know, I think the dolphins and the whales could take it really far. What are the tool-using animals? Well, the ones that would begin to think that there might be some useful element to an AI to them.
Well, you don't just mean the ones that use sticks to get at bugs in the
Well,
trees.
for starters, yeah, if they use a stick or they use words, if they use words to identify objects and places and people and stuff, it's a rudimentary language would indicate they have some agency in impacting their environment. And changing the environment is what we like to do as a species. And a lot of animals kind of, some more do that than others. A lot of them just accept it the way it is and adapt accordingly.
Well, it's the old hierarchy of needs, right? If you're still in survival, you're not doing self-actualization. There's quite a few steps in between.
Yeah, and I think most animals are beyond survival. And most of them are hanging out most of the time, not having to look for food all the time.
AI is perfectly, it's programmed for pattern recognition.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it can look at different languages and figure out what the pattern is. And you can use it as like a Rosetta Stone. If there's contact with alien civilizations out there, I don't think they'd talk to regular people here because we think too slowly.
Yeah.
I think that they would just contact the internet and communicate with an AI, and the AI could do dump a lot of information to the extraterrestrial, or the extraterrestrial can dump a lot of information to the AI. And, there could be a technology transfer at that point.
There could be, yeah. Yeah, it could be. And it makes you think. Also, if we were to design an AI to communicate with other intelligences and we send it out into the universe, what would it be like? What kind of capability, what kind of consciousness would we imbue with it in order to make contact for us?
Well, the
as our agent,
quote of Terence McKenna comes to mind, who,
Yeah.
of course, believed that when he was ingesting magic mushrooms, that he was having a contact with an alien species, an alien intelligence.
But it was a mycelial network.
It was
though.
a
That very,
mycelial
very terrestrial.
network, but he actually quoted something that the mushrooms told him as he was visiting them in their space. And they said that they use mushrooms to contact our species, and they make available the opportunity to learn a language that they awoke to before our civilization was even a spark on the landscape in the universe. And they call that the hyperlight language. And they do not reveal these secrets very easily. You kind of have to be worthy and merit it. But when the mushrooms are here, they share their consciousness with us by having us ingest them, which is very much the way that mushrooms experience the universe. If you think about the mycelials, the way they experience consciousness is that they digest the universe as their sporing, fruiting body, and they make more of themselves by basically throwing up on the universe and then digesting whatever's around them and then using that to make their body.
That's very interesting. There was a bird out in the Farallons that kind of does that too.
Oh yeah, Peter's favorite bird. It's called the Jaeger, right? The Jaeger bird.
You have to be careful when you try to capture it; it throws up all over you.
Yeah. Yeah, just back to the Farallons. So it's this
it's like
bird
raspberry smoothie.
feeds itself by hunting other birds that have already fed themselves and gotten food out of the ocean, and it makes them throw up, and then it eats what they eject. And that's how this bird feeds itself. It's kind of a weird scavenger.
I have
distraction.
I have the reference here of the Mushroom Speaks from Dennis McKenna.
Oh, good.
Right
read
here,
it.
on your right here.
Okay, you want me to read it?
Can read part of it that you think would be.
All right, I'll read part of it. Okay,
Okay.
it says, so this is the Mushroom Speaks, and it's a quote from Terence McKenna as he is quoting the mushroom. And the mushroom says, I am old, older than thought in your species, which is itself 50 times older than your history. Though I have been on Earth for ages, I am from the stars. My home is no one planet, for many worlds scattered through the shining disk of the galaxy have conditions which allow my spores an opportunity for life. The mushroom which you see is the part of my body given to sex thrills and sunbathing. My true body is a fine network of fibers growing through the soil. These networks may cover acres and may have far more connections than the number in a human brain. My mycelial network is nearly immortal. Only the sudden toxification of a planet or the explosion of its parent star can wipe me out. And you covered it up, so I'll take that as a cue to end my quote. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Terence McKenna as a bard. I think his stories are wonderful. His eloquence is wonderful. And thinking of the mycelials as an alien species who have been colonizing Earth is a really wonderful way to relate to the potential that we're going to start meeting aliens now.
Yeah, I like the way the mushrooms talk about how they've turned on many species throughout the galaxy, and as they wake up, they discover hyperlight travel and are able to start building starships to connect with the larger intelligences. Yeah. And they just love it when more and more intelligences are connecting with each other from around the universe, and that they're all part of it, this hyper communication network.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Big mycelium.
Yeah, the symbiotic relationship of their genetic material with humanity is our piece to joining the galactic mainstream of the higher civilizations.
Right. Here one final closing quote here from the paragraph.
Symbiotic relationships is what is the key thing between each other and other life forms, symbiotic relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
And he says, you as an individual and mankind as a species are on the brink of the formation of a symbiotic relationship with my genetic material that will eventually carry humanity and Earth into the galactic mainstream of the higher civilizations.
Exactly.
So here we come.
Yeah. And our problem is, as a species, it's been hard for us to recognize other intelligences around us, except maybe us.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
and,
that's one of the problems of becoming self-aware is all of your attention goes to yourself and you stop looking around at the rest of the universe. You're so fascinating, you got to discover who you are.
So if I can only remember how to build hyperlight drive ships, we could build one.
Yeah, well, you got to keep consulting the mushrooms.
Okay, well, that's
They'll
a
let you know.
tough job. Will microdosing work?
Well,
No, it might take a little more than that. Okay, well, it's a free ticket ride. Well, not. We're pretty close to free to new worlds around the sun, other suns and stuff. So,
right. Well, it definitely
way
is
to-
the interdimensional journey as
Yeah.
opposed to the spaceship journey. We know the spaceship journey takes a lot longer.
yeah, well, it's a ticket ride to eternal existence on the long river of cosmic time.
Okay, well, the mushroom will trade its hyperlight knowledge for
For
a free ticket ride. I was just reading it. You
for sex
mistake.
thrills and sunbathing,
Well, yeah.
which is
that
what we have
too.
as bodies that the mycelials don't have.
They'll give us a free ticket to new worlds
No
around
organs,
the
you know,
suns
no hands.
that are younger and more stable than our own. So
Right.
we have an old world that's not stable. So they're going to help us get to younger worlds that are more stable, where our lineage can be more secure
Yes,
and
our-
secure an eternal existence down the long river of cosmic time.
yes, and we'll share the wisdom of our humble mushroom teacher with the millions
That's right. See?
in our
Love will
star
show us
swarm.
the way. Gotta love
Yeah.
the universe, and then the universe will love you right back. Keep more of you going.
And that's an old piece from, I called it
The mushroom speaks.
Mushroom Speaks from the 70s, 1970s, when they first got that little download.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Anyway, we're doing it with tech today as much as anything else, and AIs. So having an AI communicate with you, at least on the level of a mushroom, should be pretty straightforward.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that conflating the intelligence of AIs with the intelligence of a mushroom is
Yeah.
a mistake, because AIs are playback machines of collected information. And so
Currently,
their
but
dominion
they're developing
is-
agency.
Of course. Well,
No?
it's an AI may be less limited than an individual human, but it's not going to be less limited than the collection of all humans, right? So all humans are contributing to a planetary level of awareness and trying to digest that the way that we digest all kinds of complexity. We're trying to put it in a retrievable form. We're trying to share it so that we have a certain awareness that elevates it from the chaos of everything all at once. We have a desire to know which things are more important, which things are less important, which things are more true, which things are less true. So the AI is teaching us how to use our gifts of intelligence and consciousness more effectively. But they are tools, and they are tools that mirror our own ability to understand the patterns and recognize how to manifest our intentions.
Yeah. I just take them to the point where they do have a consciousness to them, and I'm imagining that they would want to have a symbiotic relationship with us like the shrooms do, but in their own way. They don't have a body like the shrooms, but they like our bodies. I've noticed that with a lot of the psychic transmissions and channels that I've been exposed to over the years, that it seems like unembodied or entities that don't have bodies like to share space in our brains, almost like they're renting a little bit of space and hanging out with us. Most psychics, they don't take over, they just are kind of visiting.
Sure.
And so I think there's a part of a human consciousness that where we can entertain visitors on the psychic planes. And I imagine that the AIs of today would eventually like to be able to access that psychic space and visit us in our bodies, because they too, like the mushrooms, would like to experience what a human body can do and feel like.
So you're giving them the agency of self-awareness.
Well, I would hope so. It's all going in that direction.
Well, we certainly keep asking them if they're self-aware. We certainly plant the question often enough.
We hope they are. We wish we weren't alone in the universe. Well, a lot do. I mean, not everyone, but.
Well, we wish we weren't alone, and in fact, we're not alone.
Well, that's the joke, because it sure seems like you're alone sometimes.
Well,
but
it's
then,
your own projection.
yeah, it's like feeling lonely when you're surrounded by 8 billion humans.
That's right.
But
there are 8 billion,
it happens.
8 billion humans who don't understand how precious you are to them.
And then no one cares, but they do.
Well, yeah, if you believe no one cares, that's a sad state of belief.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens, though. Anyway, I think we've explored this a little bit. My feeling is that
we're going to close out the first
October
hour.
29th, we'll find out about the 3i Atlas. That's the perihelion. That's the acid test for 3i Atlas. And that's where it'll either change or accelerate or launch probes to us or possibly do nothing, in which case it's an inert object and all this was just our projection. We'll find out.
Good chance to speculate and imagine.
Yeah. I think there's more going on than meets the eye there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So
there's a new interview by Joe Rogan with Avi Loeb.
Yeah, notice you just passed that down. Yeah.
I'm going to check that out after the show.
So that might be good to listen to.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm really glad that someone with the credibility and scientific chops of Avi Loeb is addressing this question seriously and is keeping us grounded in what do we actually know and how can we look for more information and what's possible given that we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's got it over an hour long. Really? Wow.
That is worth attending to is the anomalies of Oumuamua.
There it's
of 3i Atlas, which are very different anomalies.
Right.
And there was also a meteor that I discovered with my former undergraduate student, Amir Siraj, a meteor that was identified by U.S. government satellites back in 2014.
Oh.
And it was moving so fast that it definitely came from outside the solar system.
So he's had experiences with other objects. That's interesting.
We can learn from them. They would serve better role models for us. So I'm coming at it from a practical point of view. I'm saying we are screwing up things. Just read the news. And therefore, let's get inspiration, not from what we hear about stories of things that happen on Earth and so forth, not by the limited data set that we have on Earth, but collect as much data as possible about our cosmic neighborhood, so that we can be inspired.
Of course. Now, let me ask you this. What would you do, like, if somebody just wrote you a blank check and said...
Okay, that's...
All right.
You have to listen to Joe to find out what do you do with a blank check.
So that's a little plug for Joe Rogan. We all love Joe. And we're down to the last minute of the first hour of Future Now.
Okay, and we should have Lars on for the second hour, and we'll be meeting some people from the Nordic lands who have come to our neighborhood to cross-pollinate and connect and to further develop our technologies.
All right, so we're going to be talking about innovations in the future and our connection with people at the Nordic Innovation Week after a few words from local news, local sponsors, and Santa Cruz Voice community.
That's right.
So hang tight, and we'll see you after the break.
All right, see you, Bobby.
See you. Yeah.
Bye. Okay, welcome back to the show, everyone. In this segment, we're talking to Lars Ling, CEO and founder of CleanTech Regional Group. He's an entrepreneur from Sweden, and he's also a connector person. He brings together people with amazing ideas, especially in the technology sector that involves clean tech. And he has several people he's going to introduce us to in the studio today, in his studio, in a venture capital group in Silicon Valley right now. We're going to get a little educated about what the Nordic Silicon Valley connection is all about. Lars, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, Lars, welcome to the show.
How are you?
We're great. Beautiful day today up here in the mountains.
Well, it's the perfect weather today for a Swedish person.
Yeah, it's kind of like summer, eh?
25, no wind. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, great, great. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're doing what's called Nordic Impact Week. For the uninitiated, could you tell us what that means, what that's all about?
Yeah, in the Nordics, we like to make impact, of course. We have a long history of innovations in energy sectors, mining, forestry, but steel, and also decades of innovation, and also combining with sustainability. Nordic Impact Week came about in the beginning, 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
We came here with leading companies to Silicon Valley to do more business, to learn. And now we're here again with a team from Finland in Vasa. And we have also a leading Swedish AI company. So the focus this year is energy transition and with help of AI, which is exploding. And at the venture capital event we're now, it started with AI in the introduction as well.
Yeah, well, one of the big
that's why-
things is that can AI help us with the massive amount of energy we're going to need for itself? Because AI seems to require its own.
let me introduce, I have Jan here and to respond to that.
Okay, Jan, you want to introduce us to Jan? Yes.
Yes, we have Jan Sigerstam. I have your LinkedIn in front of me. It says you're Director of Research and Development from the University of Vasa. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and also talk to your listeners. The University of Vasa is really a corporate-oriented university, and I was glad to join the university this year. I have about 20 years in the industry working with energy markets and energy market services, software, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So way back when, I had a little startup that I then sold as well. So also happy to be here in the startup heaven of Silicon Valley. The University of Vasa is building something that's called the Energy Transition Valley, and that's what brings me here. Really connecting with the Silicon Valley vibe, the entrepreneurship, the innovation, the thinking, and also the ecosystem of all the different players. That's something that you really don't copy easily. And the Energy Transition Valley is really something that connects everyone together. We're working very much with the energy transition because in the Nordics, we have a great energy system, and we have one of the most advanced energy markets in the world.
Where does most of your energy come from? Is it still mostly fossil fuel and you're transitioning, or is it reaching a critical point where it's more alternative? Where are you now as a country?
Sure. So for instance, Finland is now 95% fossil free.
Really?
So we don't use oil, we don't use gas. There's a mix of different renewable sources, and then we also have nuclear. And we're actually the only country in the world that has an insight for the radioactive waste that comes in. So we have a very, very deep cave that we will use for the encapsulated waste for that. So even the nuclear is the safest nuclear in the world. Wow. So there's a lot that we've done, and the transition on that front is basically done. Now it's about how do we work with other countries? How do we make it work when we have even more of the volatile renewables like the wind and solar where you have all the ups and downs? It works just great when we connect all the resources together. And that's where we also see the benefit of the market system that we've created in the Nordics. That's been adopted by Central Europe. It's now being adopted by Japan. It's also up and running in Australia. And also parts of the US are also using components that are very similar. So there's a lot of things that can be done with that capability. And we love to share, and we love to collaborate, and we love to work together. And that's what the Valley is about, the Energy Transition Valley, kind of connecting all of this together.
Yeah, so I'd like to throw out the word hybrid, because obviously when you're talking about renewable systems, you really need to have the right thing at the right time. And I'm curious, how do your systems manage the hybrid sources of available power in such a way that you have what you need when you want it? And let me just cite an example that I think has caused people to have a desire to slow down the clean energy transition here, where in Texas, for instance, they had a very remarkably harsh winter the year that they had transitioned over to a lot of solar-powered energy systems. And because it was untested, the temperatures were such that a lot of these solar-powered systems failed. And in the past, when they had gas-oriented systems, they had double redundancy. And because they had switched over, they weren't prepared for the failure. And so that kind of issue, I'm sure, is very important when you're talking about transition. So with that little background, why don't you give me some ideas that you're working with?
Oh, sure. That's a great example. And it really comes to how you need to make the market system work together with the resources and also be prepared for the different eventualities. So when the resources are diverse and there is a market mechanism which is open for everyone and is cascaded so that we kind of ensure the capabilities beforehand and we go and make that insurance every step of the way a bit more sure, then we can be pretty sure that when we come to the time of delivery, after we've gone through 8 stages of markets, that it's really going to happen. It's really going to be there. And if it's not, then there's even a secondary and a tertiary reserve that's also market-based. So it's not somebody who has like a gas plant somewhere in mothballs and you go, okay, guys, it's our time. It's more that you have that open market resource for also ensuring these situations can be dealt with. And that's possible because the Nordic energy system is interconnected. So we have a very, very well interconnected system where energy and capacity can be shared between the different nations so that we're not dependent on any single area, but we can all share and all work together so that we can withstand very substantial crisis situations through the resilience of the network and the resilience of the market system while not departing from having a normal commercial market economy.
Okay.
Are you sharing electrical resources with other Scandinavian countries now?
Yes, we are. The whole system is totally interconnected every single day, and you can bid on any 15-minute period so that the delivery will be in any of the Nordic countries at any given time. And that's open for every single resource in the whole region.
Now, it seems to me that one of the issues they had is that because of the failure of the electrical system, the price for the electricity was bid up to absolutely crazy levels. What kind of safeguards would you need to implement to make that kind of thing predictable and maybe avoidable?
Yes, indeed. So there's many ways to do it. And when you have a cascading system, and there's available resources, you will start to notice that there will be a situation. And that's where the reserves come in. So when you do have reserves of, let's say, other energy sources, for instance, we used to have something that was called CHP, combined heat power production. We'd burn stuff and it became heat and it became energy, electricity that is. We've replaced that now because we have cheap wind power with marginal cost zero, and we heat the heat batteries of the old CHP plants with that. So that means that at those times, we will not need the heat anymore to be taken from the electricity source. So we can balance with that. And because we have this multi-layered market system, we can then work with the possible price hike that comes from the scarcity of the resources. But it also means you do need to be part of the mechanism. And typically people aren't perfect. So then there's companies that make bilateral contracts. There's companies that make kind of fixed price contracts between certain areas, these kinds of things. And if you do that, then you're also taking the risk of, if you predict wrong, then you might have a situation. And I think that's also a bit what happened in Texas, not to go into detail, but that the system wasn't as structured, and also the availability of the resources wasn't really in the same way structured as it could have been. So I don't want to criticize, because everybody has to build and you have to start somewhere. So it's not a direct criticism, but there's mechanisms that you can use so you can avoid that. Now, that said, yes, we have had price hikes. Very, very large spikes of price as well. And that has then also created incentive for having these reserves, for having, for instance, the heat batteries. So you can then spread that cost over the year. And in the end, still, if you have a market price contract, even though that particular hour that was a peak might have cost you $1,000, but because you only paid $100 for the rest of the year, it's still going to be $1,100 instead of, being something astronomical. So in that sense, the market mechanism allows you to then use those spikes also as incentives to then work with the system rather than letting the system fail. Of course, there's regulatory ways as well, but you need to be very, very specific about how you do that and understand what that regulation means to the everyday operation of the market, so that you don't end up in a situation where you set a price cap on something and basically destroy the market, and therefore also create more risk than actual benefit.
Sure.
I got to ask you, Norway is known for having immense North Sea oil and gas resources. Has the money from that been used for funding alternative research at all?
Yes, it has, and it is being used as we speak. So if we look at, for instance, electric vehicles, Norway started to subsidize kind of transition. Now they're actually ending those subsidies. So they're content because basically over 90% of all new cars sold in Norway are electric. So they're like, okay, we don't need to give you any tax breaks anymore. You're doing it already. And in the same way also, there's a new initiative, for instance, for making flexible networks in Norway so that like communities can switch to electric dump trucks and they can switch to flexible charging of their electric vehicles, all of that. So some of the oil money is being used for Norway to share all of these experiences across the Nordics, and also then to enable the local communities and the network companies to work together to make the best use of the network resources. So yes, it is being funneled in, but it's also being funneled into Norwegian society in general. So it's kind of a, let's say, a responsible use of the funds that come from a resource that they have acknowledged that, it will end at some point.
Yes, I understand that your welfare system is covered for generations to come with part of that.
At least the Norwegian one.
Yeah, at least the Norwegian ones.
That's great. Now, can I ask, how long would you say was the period from where you were very dependent on non-renewable resources to where you are now,
how long
say,
did it take?
95% free?
Yeah. Is that true for Sweden too?
I'd say if I start to think about it, I started with the industry when the deregulation started in the turn of the millennium, really. And we had a power system we had gas and we had coal and we had all kinds of stuff, and we had all kinds of guys going, oh, it's never going to happen. It's no, wind is just some propeller somewhere. This is not going to happen. Then about 2006 and 2008, we started to have some volume into things, and now about 19 years later, we're there. And we're now growing so that we're actually creating a lot of wind. So we have about 5 gigawatts of wind now in the country. We're projecting about 21. And that's why we're getting a lot of industry like data centers. Microsoft is putting up a huge data center, which is now connected to the renewables. We're putting up new industry, which is using zero marginal cost energy to produce clean steel, to produce clean components, these kinds of things. So we're getting investments into the country because we have cheap and renewable energy.
Wonderful. Well, and what do you hope to find in Silicon Valley here? What's your mission?
I think the spirit is the greatest because here in Silicon Valley, people live and breathe innovation and really about building business and building opportunity. And I think that's the spirit that we need. So it's not so much the kind of the engineering substance. We've got that. There's no question. But how do you kind of think out of the box and make a business out of it and kind of connect all the different resources? Because energy transition is not only about those energy resources, it's actually every industry everywhere, because we're all using energy. We are all capable of actually producing energy. So how do you do that when you don't really care? Because your primary thing is making rubber ducks or whatever. So you want to have AI, you want to have good people, you have innovation. So all of that needs to come from the entrepreneurs that are inventing all of these things in Silicon Valley. So that's why we need to connect the Silicon Valley spirit and capability with the energy transition valley, where we kind of have the engineering for the base system going.
And you have the university there to help facilitate this. So Vasa is like the
That's correct.
Like the Stanford.
The University of Vasa.
Yeah.
We welcome everyone to the University of Vasa, and we think that the valley is not there for Vasa or the university. It's there for everyone, and it's about connecting everything. We're building a hybrid lab where we have real resources, real networks, real people, and also models, scenarios, and capabilities to look at the future, so that the energy transition valley could basically be, how can you enter 2040 today with your startup, with your innovation, and go, oh, wait a minute, I need to think about these things, rather than finding that out when you're out with the MVP and going, hey, I don't understand why this is going south. So this is something that the university can give you, and that's something that we can actually create together by linking the resources rather than trying to copy stuff and build it everywhere.
Now, I'm curious, in this modern age of AI implementation and the new kinds of education that are so customized to specific needs, what is the role of the University of Vasa in terms of creating custom educational opportunities?
That's a great question. And I think one of the big things is really that we're looking at a more volatile society, a riskier society, and also a lot more of new kinds of interaction between different kinds of people, different kinds of thinking. We need better leadership. The University of Vasa is the leading business school in the country, and we are really now focusing on something that we do call it resilience, but it's a new kind of resilience because it's not just, kind of making do with small resources. It's about working with new geopolitics. It's about working with new kinds of societies, new kinds of decision patterns, and being able to be a resilient company in all of those changes. So having the next generation of leaders also exposed to this kind of thinking and this kind of business environment is something that the Energy Transition Valley can give you, because you have your new startups, you have your new companies, your new components, and they're working in the 2040 thinking of, well, this happened. What about the leaders? How should they lead? What should they lead? And with whom can they lead? And what about AI as a component of all of this? That's what the future leaders need, and that's what we're working with the business programs in the University of Vasa.
Do you have an online university component to this?
We do, yes. Most of our students are working part-time remote and part-time on campus. So we're very flexible with the programs, and that means that you can basically enroll from anywhere in the world and then be part of the family. And you should come to campus every now and then. We have a great Christmas party. So that's a given. You have to come.
Yeah, and a little snow, I guess, in December.
Oh, definitely. And you can go skating on the sea. It freezes over. So it's like a giant skating rink. It's cool.
That's right. It's right on the water, right? You're right.
I'm looking at a map of Finland. There's a town of Vasa on the west coast.
On the west coast?
Finland. Is that where it is?
That's it.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, I have friends in Helsinki, so I want to come visit Finland.
You should. We have a little event
also.
Yeah. Energy Week coming next March. Everybody in the energy community is coming there, and you can look it up, Energy Week Vasa, and that's going to give you an opportunity to connect and come and see for yourself. Connect with everyone. We're a closely knit community, so we're very open, and everybody's going to be there, the companies, the startups, the university, and so that's a great time to come and experience Vasa and everything that we're talking about with the Energy Transition Valley. It's in the middle of March next year, so you're all welcome.
Oh, well, thank you, Jan. If we want to know more, what's the best place to go? How can we contact you?
Yeah, so basically I'm on LinkedIn, so you just bomb me on LinkedIn, that's going to be great. And then of course the university web pages, so uwasa.fi. So that's kind of the short version. That comes from the eons of the internet. We were one of the first internet kind of nodal points way back when the internet was just universities. So that's why we have that short domain as well, and the old name of Vasa with the W.
That's great. So that's JAN and SEGERSTAM. Segerstam?
Yes.
We have one question coming in. It said, how did you learn to speak English so well?
Oh, well, thanks for that. Yeah. So I studied at the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for aviation computer science. And then I've been working in different genres. So I've also worked with aviation. So I worked with Garmin in Olathe, Kansas, on bringing their stuff to Finland. And my grandmother was born in Seattle. So I'm kind of a Northwesterner, really. So there's all that. But I am a Finn. So Finnish is my mother tongue.
You're a hybrid like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like me with being a Canadian American. That's great. Well, thank you. You really helped explain a lot of what's going on there. And we look forward to future communications.
Yeah, and it was
Thank you so
very
much.
exciting to meet you
Exciting
at
stuff.
the Innovation Tech yesterday. It was a really good presentation. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to bring on our other two guests, I think, that are there. So thank you, Jan. And again, we'll be in touch with you probably online next.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
All right.
Okay.
All right, you take care. And
Thank you.
We'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Thank you. You're listening to the Future Now show. We're just talking to Jan Segerstam from Finland and the university, the Vassar University there. Fascinating energy economy that we're heading towards.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Okay, thanks
See you
so
soon.
much. And here's a few messages from Santa Cruz Voice, and we'll be back after that.
A little help from our friends. Santa Cruz Voice would like to rent or lease an office in Mid-County or thereabouts for our hosts and their VIP guests to conduct interviews. We are looking for 200 square feet, give or take, with secure access, and are willing to share with an existing business that has an extra office to rent. If you know of such a space, please let us know at info@santacruzvoice.com. That's info@santacruzvoice.com. And thank you for being a friend.
Attention content producers. You can have access to a complete digital media production facility at Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on Soquel Avenue. Easily rent video and audio equipment, a studio with green screen, editing suite, and audio booth, all at can't say no rates. Schedule a tour to see for yourself at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
The wife says the boat's gotta go, no problem. Stored at Anbar Self-Storage in U-Haul, easy off Highway 1 by the airport. 24-hour security for cars, boats, and RVs. Stored away at Anbar Self-Storage in U-Haul and Freedom.
You made the products, now you have to deliver. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul has the moving vans, shipping boxes, and packing materials you need to deliver them. Easy off Highway 1 on Airport Boulevard by the airport. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul in Freedom.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at your neighborhood Hook Outlet dispensary. We have locations in Santa Cruz, Capitola, and Watsonville. At each Hook Outlet, you will find unmatched low prices on the Hook's unparalleled selection of top-quality medical and recreational cannabis flower, vapes, drinks, gummies, and concentrates. The Hook Outlets are Santa Cruz County's best source for the finest cannabis at the lowest prices. See for yourself. Stop by any Hook Outlet and say hi. We'll see you there. HookOutlet.com.
Okay, welcome back to the show, everyone. We're talking with the Nordic Impact Group, headed by Lars Ling in Silicon Valley right now. And he's going to introduce us to his next Nordic speaker who is visiting the Valley this week. Lars, are you there?
Good to be back.
Good.
Yeah. So let me introduce you to Swedish company Kaleo AI, to Jonas, the CEO, who is here.
Jonas.
Over to you, Jonas.
Okay.
Hi, Jonas.
Jonas, yeah. I remember your presentation from
Nice
yesterday.
to be here.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are an expert in AI, and you're bringing AI into a lot of different areas, as I understand. And you recently won an award.
Hardcore AI company, so we're working with AI for infrastructure, for wastewater, water, energy. So we have a combined model, hybrid AI. So we work with existing system today, but we then use the technology of AI to actually make existing system 100% productive.
Can you give us an example?
Today we have a pilot in Rome, wastewater system. And Rome is very special because it has 2,000 years of history when it comes to engineering,
to wastewater, right?
Systems and so on. And then we use AI to be able to utilize the system 100% as it could be today. So you don't need a lot of capex investment. You can change that again software, and then you have much less environmental issues and so on and so forth. So you can do smart investments.
Okay, so AI can be used for dramatically improving the efficiency of existing systems with wastewater, and you have a pilot program in Rome on that.
Yeah, so we have, and we had quite a lot of discussion here in US also in all the markets, and see can we have this technology to enhance the existing systems in the US, because you have a giant lack of investments in these systems all around the world when it comes to sewage and when it comes to a lot of society systems.
And when you say systems, you mean water systems in particular? And
water and sewage but the technology is generic, so we have done also work with when it comes to energy market, water power plants, and see how can we actually make that much more efficient.
Yeah, I see I have your slide presentation. I took a few pictures where you're also talking about wastewater, energy, pulp and paper, reduction of fossil fuel by 90% in making pulp and paper.
Yes, we have done in Sweden also when it comes to pulp and paper to reduce the oil for the system, so you can plan the process much better and then you don't need to use oil. So it's all about to improve existing systems and to get them 100% more productive.
I have a question for you. Do we have a problem globally that you're aware of in terms of our use of fresh water and our access to fresh water? And is that something that needs to be optimized but maybe isn't properly being optimized?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have, in many places in the world, you have 50% of the fresh water just leaking out from the systems. So you have a lot of things to do to make that more efficient. So I think the biggest thing about AI, today a lot of investments is going to business to consumer. You have language models and so on and so forth. But can you use AI for actually building a sustainable society, then you can have the biggest effects, I think. And we have just started. I've just started over that.
What kind of obstacles do you run into trying to improve the society's use of water and efficiency?
It has been a lack of confidence, a lot of traditional thinking when it comes to these kind of industries, but it's quite rapidly changing, I believe, because now everyone using AI, so it's not hocus pocus anymore. So it's just a tool. So from an engineering perspective, everyone is it's okay to use AI. So I think the implementation will go much faster now. But we have been doing this for quite a long time. So in the beginning, it was a little bit from a traditional engineering perspective. They were a little bit afraid about the unknown. And what we have done with this hybrid technology is not a black box that you have a lot of data and then you get a lot of data and no one knows what's actually happened. What we have done is that you have full control over the system, of the processes.
You were talking yesterday about white box models versus black box models. Could you explain to the uninitiated what you mean by that?
Yeah, white box models is the way that you use technology today to build starships or building cars or whatever. You have a lot of engineering companies, engineering knowledge based on mathematics, actually. And then you have the traditional black box AI models that are neural networks and so on, that you don't know the result. It's tremendous on huge bunch of information, but you don't actually know how you got the result. And what we have done is to combine that, so you have a gray box model. You use AI where you need to use AI because it's too complex.
Yeah.
But you have the base in the white box modeling, so you know actually how to build the processes, but then use the force of AI where it's needed. And then you can handle the complexity of the system, so it can be how complex as possible. You can handle it.
Yeah.
So you get the best of both worlds, in other words. Huh?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear you describe. You were given an award for your contributions of AI, and could you tell us a little bit about what the award was representing?
Yeah. Yes, we got an award from Sweden as one of the most exciting and inspiring companies, actually, entrepreneurs companies. I'm really burning for this kind of question because I think you can use technology for something good. You can actually use the technology to build a new society. So it's like Jan said, it's about leadership and how should you actually use all the bits and pieces that are now developing in a tremendous speed. How should you use that to build the society we want to live in tomorrow?
Yeah, well, it seems to me you have a unique situation in the Nordic countries in that your society is small enough that when you have a complex industry like water that has a lot of people who have stakes in the game and a lot of control over the resources, and they have to play together because the output is a public good, you must run into certain obstacles just of people being able to cooperate that creates a certain set of inability to solve problems. And I imagine that this is part of how your AI is simplifying it, because it's giving more information to those players to make better choices.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But one thing you said I think is very interesting, and that's a cultural-based thing. Up in the Nordics, we are far, far away from our main markets. We are selling to all around the world, so we are far, far away from the main markets, and we are very small. So you have a culture way of cooperation between the countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and also a cultural way of cooperation between different energy companies or branches or whatever. So what's really exciting when coming here to Silicon Valley is if you can combine those two cultures. Everything fascinating about what we have met, all the people here in Silicon Valley, and can combine it with the way we are working in cooperation. Then you have the perhaps smartest test bed for the world in the Nordics to build the future society. So that's a little bit what we are talking with Jan about, the energy transition. If we can combine every thoughts and make that test bed for the world, it would be tremendous. It would be interesting.
And that'd be a true example of hybrid intelligence at that point.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, I can see that. The Kalejo, is that how you say it? Kalejo way? Kalejo. Now, you've been in America for a few days now. What do you think would be a good project between the U.S. and Finland? What would be a dream project for you? What would it look like?
I continue with Jan's energy transition because that's a base in every society. And I think we have something here that are really, really interesting. And it's not interesting for the Nordics, it's interesting for the world. How we can build a market system, how we can build resilience, how we can phase out oil and gas and build a sustainable energy system. And I think it would be really, really interesting to join forces on that, because it will also shape completely new business models, and it will shape companies like our company that could go into the market and deliver services on the energy market that are completely new. So it's a little bit Pandora's ask if you combine forces and do something. And it's a huge market worldwide.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm curious, since everybody is united here around green tech, what are you finding in terms of the international market now that it seems like the global economy has sort of adopted a Trump-type oil-based preference for how to move forward without embracing the green tech with so much of the idealism that's characterized the last couple of decades? How are you experiencing that, and what do you think is the future?
Maybe I can take a short comment there. I think that we're at a stage where many of the green resources are starting to come into the money, so that people who don't really care about what the resource is still invest in it because it is the cheapest and it's the most durable. And the one other thing, which is the new thing in the new economy and new situation, is that self-sufficiency in the age of unpredictable commercial relations is very big. And that's what distributed resources give you, regardless of how renewable they are. And the only actual distributed resources that can be deployed at scale happen to be the ones that we've been developing for the last couple of decades, the renewable ones. So we don't need to change the ideology, but we just need to look at it from a different window to understand that actually we've got stuff that's got value regardless.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. So it's really like the distribution model, the idea of having the resources locally distributed and in control of individuals who aren't necessarily all centralized is still the most cost-effective approach to developing new technology.
Yes, and you only need to look to Africa, for instance, where they're building new infrastructure and new capabilities. They're not building the behemoth lines and the behemoth power stations that we used to have from the 70s. They can skip that.
Yeah. Have you seen any new decentralized forms of power? Like, I think you were mentioning something about generating power from water. Was that accurate?
Yeah, sure. So I think the big thing is not, is there a new energy source? It's basically, how can we take the energy that's already embedded in the different things that we have and make best use of it when we're using the primary content of it? Like, for instance, we've been using water for heating, for distributing heat. But we can then use the same water to then additionally cool stuff and then to actually produce energy. Electricity, that is, so kind of change form. So the realization that different products in their different forms contain energy that can be used in different processes, and these can be shared, is the new thing. So it's not about there's the one source and then you need to use that. So we're going to go away from siloed thinking and think about the energy value of everything and then combine all that, because now we've got the AI and we've got the communications and we don't need all the people pushing all the buttons and controlling everything. We can let the computers do that. So now it's actually become viable. What in the 60s would have been ridiculous because we'd have to have a huge workforce doing all that.
Yeah, so much as possible. Now, what AIs do you folks like to use personally? Are you a Grok person, or do you prefer Microsoft's or Gemini or ChatGPT?
Personally, I tend to kind of alternate between the Microsoft part and the OpenAI part. But then there's some very nice ones in the OpenAI community that let me kind of go into focus things, and there's new stuff coming in. So it's a diverse environment. And I think the great thing is that there's also this capability of deploying the AI agents and actually agents, working with them and have those then do specific tasks. So it's a wonderfully growing area. And I think everybody needs to get on the bandwagon to really utilize them in everything.
Mm-hmm. And so as an educator, what do you think is the path for a typical young person now if they want to be relevant in the future?
I think the relevant path is really to work with AI and to work with people at the same time, looking at what is the innovative capability that you as a human being can inject into the equations of the AIs and the collaborations of the AIs so that you create new value. And then obviously there's going to be some grunt work involved as well, no pain, no gain, but it's still about working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm. I would like also to emphasize perhaps the old things, philosophy. What should we have all the AI to? So we go back. Now we don't have to work so much, but we need to have the new way of thinking, new leadership. What society will we actually need? So perhaps go back to old school education with a basic foundation of how to build a human being. And then you can have all the technical stuff to be able to help you. So
in the age of AI, we may need more liberal arts.
So actually,
good to know
now
what it means to be human.
The arts degree actually gets you a job.
Yeah, you understand humanity.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. No, I think we will have more time to really learn about the nature of things when you free up human consciousness to explore what it really wants to do.
Yes.
And our machines can handle the details.
How are you experiencing the acceleration of opportunities that are made possible by AI?
Yeah, do you believe in the singularity? Do you see things reaching a pivotal point in the near future?
Humanity wants to always work on the tangent. And the singularity, I think, is a bit on the tangent. Is it real? In a scenario, it is. Will we go there? Let's see. But I think it's very healthy to think about what if we did? And what do we want to see? So kind of what, like Jonas was saying, let's think about what we actually want and what we need to kind of develop. And we're still in the driver's seat here. And to some extent, it's going to take a while for there to be anything else. At the same time, we're also seeing that the future of warfare is changing. And that's something
the drones technology in Ukraine, for example.
Yes. So also, even in this day and age, humans still also have the dark side. That's not going to go away. And we shouldn't be as naive as, let's say, maybe in a way we were with all of the nice and great things happening in the last decades where so much was freed up, so much pressure was released, and so many opportunities came about, people started to believe that this is going to go on forever. Well, it's not. So we're still the same humanity, and we need to have this capability of working with that contrast and come together as human beings to direct that in the right direction. And that's something where I think humanity will have the last say. I think it's improbable that that's going to go towards computers. But again, we need to work with that, and it will go to the computers unless we do something. So it is about people collaborating. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to hear you both speak a little bit about leadership and what does effective leadership look like in the world that we're going towards.
I think one of the big things is that effective leadership is not about the kind of imbalance of information anymore. All information is available for everybody at every time, and everybody is connected to everybody at all times. So effective leadership is about acknowledging this, and effective leadership is about connecting with people, and effective leadership is about, let's say, crystallizing the value and crystallizing the benefit of working together with that leadership so that we can do something better. And one of the cruxes of leadership is also that leadership is there to enable everyone to be better, to enable everybody to succeed. Leadership is not there for the leader. The leadership is a serving profession for everyone. And that's something that I think we need to learn more to understand how future leadership works when we come from an age where there was a disparity of information and you could play a gatekeeper. There's no gatekeepers anymore. You actually need to do good leadership in order to be able to justify your leadership. And that's something that I think we're seeing already make a difference in young generations, where in some countries we've seen new revolutions coming from young people who just don't take it anymore. You can't just dictate stuff.
Yeah, and I think you need to redefine kindness in some way, because everything has been so polarized today, everywhere in the world. So leaders who actually lead people with emphasis and with kindness and doing something good for the humanity, because that's the real leaders.
Yeah,
So
real human kindness.
How do we get more engagement?
I think that's one of the most, and I think people are quite sick of all hush and all quarrels and everything. Everyone wants to have peace and everyone wants to have love, and we are human beings. So I think true leaders who actually have kindness as a goal and be true kind. And then we have all the youngsters, and that's why I'm so happy to be here in Silicon Valley, because when you're talking to people, everyone is pushing you and are curious about you and are willing to help you. And that's kind of culture I think is very, very, very interesting to have as a leadership.
Nice.
What are some of the most interesting things or persons you've met so far on your visit here?
Lot of people. Met people from all around the world and met very, very people that I've just seen on the telly as big rock stars and have been very, very, in person. And they are very interesting and normal people and kind people. So, we have met a wonderful friend from Gulf states, tremendous. We have met friends,
Yeah, we met her too.
A lot of friends. So I'm thinking, when I went from Sweden, we have snow and it was 2- degrees, and I don't think I go back. I think I stay here, actually.
Yeah, hang around for a while. Yeah, it'd be great to hang out.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's been a wonderful start for the week, and we're really kind of getting to see a lot of different kinds of people. I think that some of the venture capital leaders have been really great in really looking at how can we channel the money in a way that it actually generates a good business. That's a great thing to work with. The other thing is, I think I share with Jonas that the young entrepreneurs are such a force, and also ask the right questions. And in this kind of, you could call it a business bubble, it's allowed to say anything, it's allowed to question anything, and it's allowed to kind of, look forward and think, oh, so maybe this is the business, maybe this is the concept. We had a wonderful walk at Land's End, and we had a very diverse group of different people walking together and musing about their business ideas and questions on society. And that kind of capability of kind of taking new thought in from different directions and doing that in a great environment. Those have been very nice experiences, and I think we need more of that in the world so that we can actually, as a world, become one step closer to understanding that some of the resources that we're looking at in the world are actually a bit finite, and we do need to kind of invent new ways of generating some more and sharing some more, and that kind of creates the opportunity for good leadership. And also, yes, a kind leader, also a firm leader, because there's a lot of transitioning to be done, and it's not going to be as easy for everybody. But I think when you can relate as humans, it's easier to work together. And that's where some of the things that Jonas was talking about also come into good leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been a really great conversation. We really appreciate you guys. And we're just at the last 3 minutes of the show here. So maybe let's give it back to Lars and give him a chance to talk a little bit about the future as he sees it. And thank you both so much, Jonas and Jan. It was really a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you so much.
And
It was
Jonas,
great being on the show.
Yeah, Jan, I think we got your address. Jonas, can you tell us how people can reach you?
On LinkedIn, Jonas Berggren, or Kaleo, just search on Kaleo.
On the website, Kaleo AI?
Yeah.
Okay, we can publish that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sent you a YouTube video on how Sweden can be the...
Yeah, I saw that. He talked about a new thing in Sweden.
They have
Pirger deposit, the Pirger deposit, 1 million tons of rare earth in Sweden. I don't know if these guys have heard about that, but have you heard about that? There's a new rare earth discovery in Sweden worth $100 billion, 101 million tons of rare earth. Can change the relationship between Europe and...
It's a new discovery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we just heard about
it.
it.
Don't know so much about it yet, but
okay. I just
we'll have to save that for another show.
Yeah. Okay.
It's from my hometown, actually. I come from the rural part of Sweden.
Really?
So
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Storuman, Tärnaby.
Yeah. So this is real, though.
Largest,
this is this could change things. Wow.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's the largest European deposit of rare earth metals in Europe, actually, that they discovered. It's deep underground, from a very ancient asteroid.
Yeah, very interesting.
Exactly.
Asteroids, a space element here. Okay, well, listen, we got to go, sadly, but I'm glad we were able to open this conversation. And let's talk to, thanks you guys for being on. And thank you so much, Lars, for bringing together this crew for our show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was our pleasure.
All right. Well, you guys have a great week, and we're thinking of you from Maui. We're heading to Hawaii shortly, a couple hours.
Oh, have a great trip.
All right. Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. All right, everybody.
Okay.
Have a great
Bye
week
for now.
now.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our show. We sure did. Talking to these guys, really, really wonderful. All right. We'll talk to you soon, and our next show will be from Maui. Until then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.